Welcome, everyone, to WagerTalk Extra. I am Andy Lang from WagerTalk.com. Dan is still on vacation. We have one more episode before we get to Memorial Day weekend. Hope everyone has some exciting plans. We're honored to have Adam Trigger with us today because he is number one in total units gained the last 365 days. Adam, first off, congratulations on that. That's something that all of us at WagerTalk are aiming for. You're wearing the crown right now. And you've got a really nice promo going from Memorial Day to Labor Day. You can grab all of Adam Trigger's plays over at WagerTalk.com. We're going to break down a couple series here, and I like what you're getting ready to do here. We have two series, but the rationale for both series kind of intertwined. So instead of breaking it up and going over the same things, we're just going to break down both series at the same time. Tell us what you think about these series. We're talking the SSG Landers versus the Doosan Bears and the NC Dinos versus the Hanwha Eagles. So, Adam, explain what you expect from both of these series here.
Yeah, Andy, thanks for having me, first of all. And really, so at a high level here, it's the exact same scenario that we're trying to exploit. We have the Doosan Bears and we have Doosan and NC, both with big-time injury issues to their pitching staff. So in Korea, or in the KBO, it's much different than MLB in the respect that, like, if you lose two starters, you essentially have to piece it together with bullpen guys, or you kind of have to roll the dice with someone from what's called the Futures League. And typically those players are not as strong. It's not like Major League Baseball where you got a guy in AAA, you call him up, make a spot start, and sort of get through it. The caliber of starter you're going to have if you lose two of your starting pitchers tends to be much worse, or you really have to tax the bullpen, and that's where you get to find good spots to play against these teams. So both of these teams are in almost the same predicament. We'll look at Friday's games. So as it worked out with the schedule, both NC and Doosan, these are the teams we want to play against. They both have their ace on the mound on Friday. So Friday's matchup in the SSG Doosan series is going to be Raul Alcantara for Doosan against Jung-Hoon Park for SSG. Alcantara is as good as any pitcher in the league right now. He's very capable of going out, throwing 8 innings, and giving up 1 run. So I'm not going to bet against Doosan on Friday. I just don't. Not that SSG couldn't potentially break through against him. They could. But I just have no interest in betting against Alcantara right now. He's been that good. So what I'm going to hope for here is I'm going to hope that Doosan wins this game close, or that even if they don't, I'm going to hope that Alcantara is maybe out by like the 6th inning or the 7th inning, and they need to go to their bullpen for a couple high leverage innings so I can make a case to go against them later in the weekend once they've burned up their bullpen. Now, Doosan played an 11-inning game last night with Samsung, so they don't have a ton of bullpen as it is right now because of the way their week is played out. So if Alcantara was to get out of this game early, they'd be in trouble here. That being said, he's sort of consistently giving them 7 or 8 innings. So that's the reason I don't want to go against Doosan on Friday. However, on Saturday and Sunday, they have less, Doosan's got less. Their starting pitcher is inferior to what Alcantara is, in my opinion. So on Saturday, you're looking at Woonjun Choi against Kirk McCarty. Now, Kirk McCarty for SSG, he's arguably their best pitcher. He's one of the better import pitchers in the league. So, even though Choi for Doosan is decent, on Saturday you have the clear-cut better starter with SSG. And if Doosan does use some bullpen arms and they come in with a tired bullpen, you end up with a nice advantage for SSG on Saturday, potentially, with McCarty on the mound. On Sunday, the advantage could be even bigger for SSG. Woon-Sok Oh will make the start for the Landers. Doosan is probably going to have to go with a bullpen game. They really don't have a starter for Sunday unless Dylan File comes back, and as far as I've heard, that's not going to be the case. So if you end up with a bullpen game for Doosan on Sunday and Woon-Sok Oh for SSG, who's starting to sort of break out, Sunday could be a great spot to play on the SSG Landers. Now remember, it's all relative. You've got to get the right price, but Saturday and Sunday are potential good spots to play on SSG. The same exact sort of dynamic is going on in the NC Hanwha series. On Friday, Eric Fed is on the mound for NC. He, former Washington National, he spent some years in the big leagues. He's become one of the best pitchers in this league. This is his first year in KBO. He's 7-1. His ERA is under 2. He's been fantastic. And NC got blown out yesterday. So they have their top bullpen arms are fine. They're rested. And so right here, you're going to be able to go Eric Fed to the better bullpen arms if you need them. So I'm not looking to bet against NC here because I don't want to fade their ace with a rested bullpen. That being said, it gets tricky for NC later in this week. They're going to have to throw Jayhawk Lee on Saturday, who's someone that was down in the minors due to poor performance. He's, a veteran. He's just kind of at the end of his career, has never been great. He's more of just a bullpen guy, innings guy. And Min-Hyuk Shin, he's a little bit better. He'll pitch on Sunday, but he's still not a guy like he pitched Tuesday. He'll have to pitch twice in the same week. That's not something I would want to back. And Hanwha's going to have Felix Pena on Saturday, Ricardo Sanchez on Sunday. So Hanwha will have the clear-cut superior starter on Saturday, Sunday. As long as NC uses a couple bullpen guys, they have injuries in the bullpen right now. So their bullpen is thin as it is. So I'm going to look for them to use guys up on either Friday or Saturday and jump in with a play on Hanwha once NC sort of burns up their top couple relievers, because I know I'm getting the better starter with Hanwha. So, Andy, just to sort of put a bow on it and keep it very simple here, the goal on Saturday and Sunday is going to be to play against Doosan and to play against NC. And the reason is they just don't have the pitching depth to make it through the weekend. When that spot comes up, we don't know, but that's what we're looking at. We want to play on SSG and play on the Hanwha Eagles on Saturday or Sunday if all of the sort of intangibles, play out in our favor.
It's such a great way to look ahead and set yourself up for success. Like you said, if the situation doesn't arise, you can always just pass. There's nothing that says you have to play it, but if you do get that perfect spot, it's just a great chance to fire off. I love the look ahead. I love the way that you're planning that, Adam. Great work. There's a reason why he's number one, 365 days for units. I know you're 7-2 the last 9 KBO plays, and you've got a really nice special for all sports from Memorial Day to Labor Day. Tell us about that and where we can find you at.
Yeah, so Andy, real quick, I'll leave you guys with a real quick free play for tomorrow, and I'm not going to really break it down because the price is too high. But LG is in a nice spot against Kia. You'd have to lay -180, but Kia had to pull their starter after the first inning. And so they really used up their bullpen yesterday. So just to throw out a quick free play for Friday, LG -180, I think is a good look. As far as I will have a KBO play up at some point today, it'll be up for $9. But the special, and this goes for all handicappers, is a great deal. Memorial Day to Labor Day, you get everything. I think it comes out to less than $6 a day. And, I have to point out the last 365 days has been excellent. I profited in every single sport I handicap over the last year. But so far this year, I'm right around even in Major League Baseball and KBO. So you haven't missed anything yet. So, that Memorial Day to Labor Day package, obviously I can't see the future, Andy, but I think I'm probably going to turn some units on that because I haven't really had my run in either MLB or KBO yet. KBO, as you said, starting to heat up, 7-2 in my last 9 games, but I really think it's going to be a good summer, and that's a great deal.
I'm so disappointed you can't see the future. It would make our jobs so much more easier.
It would make it so much easier.
Right? Yeah. Man, we'd all be number one last 365 days. Oh, great work, Adam and KBO. Always love seeing your videos. Love hearing your reasoning and your write-ups. Go grab Adam Trigger's plays at WagerTalk.com. Grab that Memorial Day through Labor Day pass to get all of his plays. Adam, good luck. Thank you so much for joining us, and let's have a great Memorial Day weekend and summer, right?
Same to you, Andy. Enjoy the weekend.
Thanks, brother. That's Adam Trigger going over KBO and a couple of great look ahead spots. We're going to jump right into auto racing. This is arguably the best auto racing weekend of the year. We've got the Monaco Grand Prix for Formula One. We've got the Indy 500, which is about 20 minutes away from my house. And we have the insanely long Coca Cola 600. I still don't know how they can justify having a NASCAR race that is 600 miles long. But we're going to start with the Monaco Grand Prix. It's not that great of a race to watch. It's very photogenic. It's beautiful, but when we look at this track here, it's there's only one DRS detection zone, which is going to affect the Red Bulls quite a bit. We'll get to them in just a second, but not a lot of passing areas. It's tight. They race on the actual streets of Monaco, and qualifying is essential. And then when you get to the race, staying clean and your pit stops are just so much more amplified. We saw that last year where Ferrari screwed up their pit stops, and quite frankly, it really cost them the race. So it's absolutely beautiful. We've got some pictures here of what it looks like in in person where they're racing. I mean, this place is surrounded by hotels and yachts, and it's on the ocean. I mean, we get this look at the shot of all those buildings and all those yachts. I mean, this is the actual streets of Monaco that they race around. But you can see in this picture right here, there's just not a lot of room to pass because everything is walled in with guardrails. But on a Sunday morning, it's beautiful to watch. We've got a really nice picture of what it looks like before and after when they set up the grandstands along this stretch on the ocean, where you see the before there and you see just a normal city, and then bang, when they're done, all of a sudden there's grandstands there on the ocean. There's an entire pit row, and it's absolutely beautiful. And then we have an amazing picture here of the first Grand Prix at Monaco. And if you want to talk about lack of safety, take a look at those people that are 20 feet away from the cars that are racing. No safety barriers, just there's light poles exposed to everything. There's people standing on the balconies. Oh my God. What an iconic, amazing photo showing you what Formula One racing used to look like and how unsafe it was. So, but let's talk a little bit about what can we expect and how can we profit off of this year's Monaco race. So, even though the track doesn't fit Red Bull perfect, they don't have that really big speed advantage on the big stretches in the DRS. Fernando Alonso has said this is the race that we can get by the Red Bull. So I'm excited to see guys like Fernando Alonso and Charles Leclerc go all in on their qualifying runs, because they really need to qualify ahead of Red Bull. If they do, they have a real shot of keeping those Red Bull cars behind them. Even Max Verstappen came out and said, this is not our best track. Now, that being said, they did finish first and third last year. A lot of assistance from the rain and Ferrari pit strategy. So, don't even though the Red Bulls are probably not going to run away with this race, they're going to be in the mix in there. I have them noted down as a double top six finish has been an incredible bet. Both Perez and Verstappen have done this in 23 out of their last 27 races. And we just keep going back to the old faithful Mercedes double top 10 continues to be one of the most reliable bets in all of sports. George Russell, Lewis Hamilton have finished top 10 in 24 out of the last 27 races. Mercedes is bringing big upgrades, they've said, to this track. Let's keep an eye on them in practice, but I expect them to be more than competitive and to cash this top 10 bet. Again, hopefully we see a really good fight between Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull, and with Fernando Alonso mixed in. I think that would be really, really exciting. And then the other thing to mention about this track is you have to go back to 2017 to find the last time that less than 16 and a half drivers finished the race. So when we're looking at some of these props, taking an over on 16 and a half classified drivers, it's really reasonably priced right now. And there's just not a lot of accidents and reliability issues, not recently. So even in the rain last year, we only had a couple cars that did not finish, and this prop hit. So let's take a look at practice, and we'll take a look at qualifying. The qualifying grid is going to be super important because of the lack of passing. So after qualifying, we can expect a lot more bets to kind of reveal themselves, that we know what's going to happen in the race. So Racing Pack is going to be up at WagerTalk.com. I will wait until after the first practice session, maybe the second practice session in qualifying, before we start putting things up. There's a couple things I'm pretty excited to see. I mentioned Fernando Alonso fighting with the Red Bulls, Mercedes, and Ferrari. I really want to see a good race between those. And I really want to see McLaren finally get their act together and give us two more cars who can fight for consistent top 10 finishes. I'm excited to see those. And then I'm also excited to see the Alpine cars racing each other. They race each other way harder than their team would prefer, but it makes for great racing for us fans. So I would say my best bet in the Formula One race is just going back to Mercedes double top 10. Listen, you can lay the minus 200 at a small investment, play it at 1% or 2% of your bankroll, or just use it as a parlay piece. But I will play that every single week. We're going to move to quite the opposite of Monaco, which is Charlotte, North Carolina, for the 600-mile race of the Coca Cola 600. Look, you can barely tell the Formula One track apart from the NASCAR track. You know, you got hotels and yachts, and then you've also got RVs and tents and campers, and Charlotte, North Carolina's finest. So you barely tell them apart. So, all right, what do we need to know about this race? It is effing long. It is 600 miles, and there is no reason to have a 600-mile race in NASCAR. And yet they say when we have the Indy 500, we cannot be the same as the Indy 500. So we need to do the Coca Cola 600. It's ridiculous. It lasts half the day. When they get on these long green flag runs, man, it's just follow the leader and follow the leader. However, this is a good track and a good race to bet on because we've got a lot of predictable things. One thing that happens is it goes from daylight to night. That's how long this race is. So the track kind of changes. So crew chiefs have to make adjustments there towards the end. So here's the best average finishes from the last four Coca Cola 600. You've got Kyle Busch, number one, Kevin Harvick, two, Tyler Reddick, three, Alex Bowman, and Chase Elliott rounding out the top five. So those are the best average finishes from the last four Coca Cola 600s. And then I took the best average finishes from the last three points races: Dover, Kansas, and Darlington ovals. You've got Kansas, another kind of cookie cutter type track. Best average finishes: William Byron is number one, Denny Hamlin two, Chase Elliott, Bubba Wallace, and Ryan Blaney round out your top five. So if you're looking for consistency, those are some guys that you can look at. Some betting notes: William Byron has four straight top 10 finishes. It's a little bit juicy, but he's been great, been fantastic. Bubba Wallace has finished fourth the last two cookie cutter tracks. That's Kansas and Las Vegas. So that team seems to be doing well on tracks like this. And then Ross Chastain has an average finish of 6.8 at California, Las Vegas, and Kansas. Why is that amazing? Well, because he's involved in a wreck every single week. Most of the time his fault, but how this guy keeps finishing inside the top 10 of these tracks is truly an absolute miracle. So those are some betting notes for you here. It's just it's really hard to watch this race all at one time. So let's do a best bet in this race, though. I'm going to look towards Kevin Harvick top 10 at a stunningly good price. I'm finding this at minus 125. Kevin Harvick's average finish the last four races here is seventh, and he's finished fifth, ninth, and 11th at California, Las Vegas, and Kansas. Those are the three similar tracks to Charlotte that they've raced at this year. I find Kevin Harvick to be a bet on this year. He said this is his last year of full-time racing. We'll see about that, but he seems cool, calm, excited. He's getting the most out of his car. He's having a very good year. Harvick's worst finishes this year are on like short tracks or restrictor plate tracks. This is just a great price to take Kevin Harvick, who loves racing at Charlotte, at minus 125. I would lock this in now because if he has a good practice and qualifying run, they're probably going to move the price. But if there's anything that means nothing about where you're going to finish in NASCAR, it's where you qualify for a 600-mile race. You can qualify dead last, not going to matter one bit. So let's lock in Kevin Harvick top 10 at some of the books before we get to practice and qualifying. So that is your racing update. Expect a really, really big weekend and a lot of profits. You can find all my plays over at WagerTalk.com. On Friday, we have our 3-day pass special that we do every single Friday. Use the promo code ANDY3, ANDY3. It gets you a 3-day pass for $39. That includes all plays and all percentages. I know we're going to have a road to the UFC play, all of our auto racing plays along with MLB, NBA, if we have NBA over the weekend. So a lot of good stuff. The last time we ran this, we made over 5 units, or right around the 5 unit mark. So we're going to be running this every Friday. I encourage everyone to grab that there at WagerTalk.com. That's going to do it for us here on Wager Talk Extra. Special thanks to Adam Trigger coming in, talking to us about KBO. Don't forget to grab all of his plays on his page at WagerTalk.com. I'm Andy Lang from WagerTalk.com. Good luck. Let's have a great Memorial Day weekend, and we will see everyone next week.